Hi, preschool peeps. Thanks for coming back or for joining us for the first time. We always hear from people who are like, I found your podcast at XYZ.
Oh, yeah. That's
So
true.
if you just found us, we're so glad.
Yay.
And if you've been with us for a long time, thank you for sticking with us. We
true.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it.
And we appreciate it this week, especially from
Greece. Hi.
So cool.
I love it. Yeah. And St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Hello, folks of Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you all and to count you among our preschool peeps.
Yeah.
We have been trying to make sure that some of our episodes don't necessarily focus only on, but include the people who work with infants and toddlers, because I know that infant and toddler staff often feel excluded.
That's true.
And I hear that a lot when I'm working with people. There's nothing out there for us. And so we're making an effort that our topics, at least some of them, apply across the board. And I think a lot of them do, but this is one that especially does, because it's about attachment. And the attachments, the children's ideas about attaching with the adults in their lives start at birth.
Yeah.
Right? That's the years of the very important ideas about attachment. And if they can trust the world, it's like birth to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So while it's true for the infant toddler staff, by the way, it remains true as the children go through the 3 to 5 year old classes and older. So this applies to everybody. But we are going to be talking about it, especially through the lens of the youngest children, because that's where it begins. You know, learning doesn't begin suddenly at 3 years old.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And this topic of attachment is especially poignant.
Yes.
And significant to those of you who work with infants and toddlers, I think. We know from research that it's extremely important that young children develop positive, strong attachments with caregivers, with the adults in their lives. And they have 2 most important worlds and most important caregivers. It's the people who are raising them and the people who are working with them in early childhood settings.
Yes.
Whether you are a center-based program, a public school program, a family child care program, whatever kind of early childhood program you are part of one of their 2 most important worlds. And what we're going to say today is also true for families, by the way. And it's where we see a lot of the challenge sometimes. But I've also seen it in early childhood settings. And we wanted today to highlight a particular type of attachment that is not one of those positive, secure attachments, because I think it's something that we don't always think about in our interactions with young children. It's called disorganized attachment or fear avoidant attachment. And I'm reading the definition to you from a wonderful website that is, by the time you listen to this, going to be linked on our website. If you go to our website into the listener resources, you can find the link to an article that is online from a group called the Attachment Project. And it is an article about attachment styles. And it says, a disorganized fear-avoidant attachment style can develop when a child's caregivers, their only source of safety, become a source of fear. Now, I know that this conversation can be hard for some people to listen to based on your own experiences. And if that's the case for you, I totally get it. You are welcome to stop listening. It's okay. Come back to us next week. Take care of yourself.
Yes, always.
Right? So go take care of yourself. You can come back to the podcast next week, or you can find an episode that we maybe released earlier that you haven't listened to. If this topic is not particularly triggering to you, I do hope that you attend to it, because it's so important that children's caregivers teach them that they can be trusted. And it is about child abuse and neglect, but it is not only about that.
Only that. Yeah.
You know, when you're in an infant room with the infants and a child has a particularly gross diaper, particularly disgusting diaper, and all the adults make a big deal, and now the child gets scared. we are teaching them then that we can't really be trusted to positively and in a nurturing way, take care of their needs. And I know that some of this can be very off-putting.
Yeah.
You know, a child, I remember, I don't know what brought this to mind, I guess,
Yeah.
but I remember a child in my class once, and these were 3-year-olds, by the way.
Yeah.
And she became so ill with a stomach virus while in school.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really ill.
Yeah.
And she was able to sort of be in the bathroom until her family came to get her.
Yeah.
And it was really, I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And there were so many adults that were in the vicinity of this child in the bathroom saying things like, "Oh my God, that's horrible." Oh, okay. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is, but nobody.
But you are impacting this child's ability to trust that adults are okay.
Are okay. Yeah.
When children do things, and this happens a lot, by the way, it's part of some children's development under the age of 2, but when they do things like bite other children, and the adults behave in a way that teaches the children to be afraid of them, then we are setting up a disorganized attachment system within this child.
Yeah.
Children can potentially, as they get older, be healed from insecure attachments, but the fear one is the one that's the hardest
one
to for like therapy and extra help to get you out of, or experiences to get you out of.
Yeah.
So there were some things in this article that teach us that if we as caregivers are sensitive toward, tuned into, and consistently respond to children's needs, they build a foundation of trust and security, and that helps them just overall in their whole life. So we didn't bring you together today to talk about what may have happened in our childhoods. We brought you together today so that we can help you to think about the natural human reactions we sometimes have to the actions of young children that could be creating a disorganized attachment for them. That they, after they have experienced, for example, me with that very negative, visceral, automatic negative reaction to them, that's going to impact the relationships that they have with people after their time they're with us.
Right.
You know, I think it's important to remember that when children are developing disorganized attachments, it's because they don't know what to expect. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
They don't know how adults are going to react. So if our reactions aren't consistently supportive and nurturing, and instead sometimes we yell at you, and we get angry with you when yesterday you did the same thing and I was more patient,
Fine. Yeah.
right? Then the child doesn't know what to expect, and that creates a fear-based attachment.
Yeah.
Because they're worried now about how you're going to react. If the child does not know that as a caregiver you're always going to meet their needs, that's a problem, which brings us to a debate that started by Erik Erikson, the theorist Erik Erikson, which was, do you go to the crying child in the crib?
Yes.
This is a very culturally based thing. Here's what we know from research, and I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Go to the child crying in the crib. Just do it. You may have been raised differently because of things that were passed down generation to generation and through cultures.
Yeah.
But if you really want children to develop a secure attachment, you go to them when they are upset.
Yes.
I am the parent of 2 adult children, and I'm here to tell you that they are not going to be 20 years old and still needing you to be with them at bedtime.
Correct. But I do think that if one of your adult children needed something, they would feel comfortable going to you because you never made them feel bad when they were crying. Right?
Right.
You attended to their needs
Right.
while they were upset throughout their lives. So now when stuff happens that they need you, they know, oh, I know my mom's always going to be there for me. So I could tell her the most outrageous thing and it's going to be okay.
Right.
There's no unpredictability. It's, I know this. So I am comfortable going to her.
I know that this teacher in my class
Yes.
always comes when I'm upset.
Yes.
Is such an important lesson for young children.
Yes.
And I can't stand when people say you're going to spoil them. You can't spoil a child. Meat spoils, dairy spoils, the milk in your refrigerator spoils.
Yeah.
But you can't spoil a child.
I also don't understand that whole we're spoiling them by attending to them when they are upset, because like, why wouldn't you want to help them? Like, why?
Because that people think, because of generational teachings,
Yeah.
that you are teaching them a monumental lesson when you don't go to them. But here's the monumental lesson that you are teaching them when you don't go to them. It's that I can't trust people to help me.
Right.
That's the monumental lesson.
I have no one who will support me through this. And so then they're just never going to even try to go to an adult for any help.
So a child, even from the infant room, is in a school setting, a large group of children with few adults, right?
Yes.
They're going to continue in these school settings. And what did they learn in that infant room? These teachers don't care about me.
Yeah. So now this next teacher is not going to care about me either.
And the truth is that the infants, mobile infants, toddlers, 3s, 4s, 5s, can't express that in words. It is internalized as a part of them. They grow up thinking, these teachers are not here to help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eric Erickson, I'm going back to him, taught that in the first year of life, children experiment with trust versus mistrust. And that connects directly to the theories that we know about having to do with attachment. And so that many prior generation practices we now know are not psychologically and socially helpful to children. It is both. And in fact, Erickson's theory is called the psychosocial stages of development, because these things impact you psychologically, personally, and your social interactions with other people.
Yeah.
Because what have you learned? You learned these people are not to be trusted. And they learned it through their experiences, not through what we say.
Yes.
Because children believe what they see, hear, and experience way before what we tell them.
Yeah.
So as they're getting older and we say to them, I'm your teacher, I care about you, you can come to me when there's a problem. If they have not experienced that from the infant room through pre-K and kindergarten, they're not going to believe it.
It's one of those like actions speak louder than words kind of thing.
Right.
You could be sitting there saying, I care for you, but then if you're going to ignore them constantly, they're going to be like, that, you don't care for me.
Right.
They're going to learn that. Or
Exactly
they're going to learn
right.
that the definition of care is to be ignored. Right? So like that, and that's not what it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
The opposite of care is, in fact, ignoring.
Ignore. Yeah. Yeah.
The opposite of nurturing is ignoring.
Yeah.
The opposite of caring for you is ignoring. The opposite of supporting you is ignoring you.
Yeah.
It all comes down to ignoring.
Yeah.
And I think we would all agree that ignoring is a negative verb.
It is.
It is not
It
good.
is. It is. But there's all those older generational learnings of like, oh, well, they're crying, just ignore them. They'll stop.
Right.
Right? Just ignore them. But like...
Yeah, they're going to eventually stop because they're going to be exhausted. But what did they internalize?
What did they learn from that? Mm-hmm. You're not teaching them how to handle the problem, but you're teaching them that nobody cares. So even I could cry all day and nobody would come help me. What a horrible feeling.
Yeah, that is horrible.
That's horrible.
That is horrible. I promise you that by the time they are a certain age, they are no longer going to want you to do that. They're not going to want you to come when they are sleeping.
Yeah.
My children, as they were growing up, as they get older and they go into those teenage years and beyond, most children are like, it's a natural way to separate from us, because eventually humans know we're going to have to separate from these people. So they do things to push you away. Yeah. Not necessarily to bring you in.
Right.
And people who've raised teenagers may have experienced that. They purposely will I sometimes think to myself, and this is especially true, by the way, folks, you can just prepare yourselves for it if you're a parent. especially true as they head toward the age of 18, because they're either going to be getting a job and moving out, or going to college and maybe moving out. And eventually they're hopefully all moving out,
Right.
because that's the goal of parenting, really, is
Yeah.
to give you wings and
give
let
you
you
wings
fly.
and fly, yes.
Right. Fly, go
Yeah.
be free.
Yeah.
Because this stage of their life is coming, they sometimes, I used to think of my own children like, you are trying to sabotage this relationship with me, and I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Right.
So there are times when they will do things as they get older to purposely, seems like, push you away.
Yeah.
And some of it is even subconscious, just because they know they're going to have to be separate from you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to propose to you that whether you, even though, how am I going to phrase this? When they were young and they cried and you went to them and you treated all things with kindness and nurturing and security, that phase later, when they're pushing you away, won't last as long.
Right. Yeah.
Because they'll know you're their trusted person.
Right.
Somewhere deep inside.
And you
Deep.
Deep.
It's deep.
You gave them security.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And why can they push you away? Because they're so secure
They're
with you.
secure. Yeah.
We want them to know that teachers are their safe people in this unsafe world.
Yeah.
In this nutty world
Yeah.
in which we are in, teachers are also people you can go to, because sometimes as children get older, they feel they can't go to their families with things, or they don't want to go to their families, and they need people they can go to, and that can be you.
Yes.
Right? That can be
you.
a teacher.
Yes.
And it's not going to be you personally, because you're listening to an early childhood podcast, but it can be the teachers that they encounter then. And we want them to seek out their trusted adults. Right. In order to seek out a trusted adult, you have to know what trust feels like. And that starts, as Erik Erikson said, birth to one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All right. We're going to give you that to think about. And next time we're going to talk about, maybe we'll try and do something a little more fun.
Yeah.
For the next episode. What do you think?
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll work on that,
We'll
folks.
figure
We promise you absolutely nothing. And we will catch you next time on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.
Bye, peeps.